Well, they're not sure of the tools. They're not sure who's going to do it. They're not sure how they're going to get the data. They're not having the conversations with people. They don't even know who in their organization is excited to do this work. You know, that's one of the things I tell customers all the time and prospects is find those individuals, those human diamonds in the rough who really want to learn this. And those are your bigger, better, faster, stronger humans that are going to take and make your AI successful for you and your company.
Welcome to season 2 of the Complete AI Guide, your commute-friendly podcast brought to you by Mathew.com. We are now on Apple Podcasts and Amazon Music. Wherever you get your podcast, like, follow, share, and subscribe so that you don't miss an episode. I'm Mathew, and today we have a special guest. Christopher Carter is the CEO of Approyo, a company that provides full SAP service technology with extensive capabilities in hosting and managing services, upgrades, and migrations for customers. Since 2011, Chris has worked with companies in over 52 plus different industries. His advice has been featured on Inc., Forbes, TechTarget, Entrepreneur, CRN, and many other publications around the world.
But thank you for having me. It's an honor. I love being down in Australia. I love talking with my fellow Australian friends and family down there. So I'm glad to be on here.
And so let's just get started. And I know that we share a lot of industry knowledge, experience in common. And one of the things that came out in our dialogue interaction before is that you believe that having great AI models isn't enough. That the real value comes from building strong operating models. And so I was just wondering, how do you define a strong operating model specifically in the context of AI deployment for small and medium businesses?
Yeah, small and medium businesses are a completely different animal unto themselves than enterprise-grade organizations, because having a strong operating model for them is critical, because you can't go off and keep trying to rebuild. We don't have the budgets as an SMB. And that's one of the things that I tell organizations. I always tell people, I've been very blessed. You are my 120th podcast of the year. And every podcast that I go on, I tell individuals, I tell companies, I tell program managers, I tell anybody working in AI, look, if you fail fast, because it gets expensive. And if you're not having the right models before you even start, you're going to find yourself going down a rabbit's hole of budgetary activities and of activities that you do not necessarily know and haven't gravitated to, because you're maybe doing this for the first time or the second time. And you really need to have those operating models built out and solidified. Now, you're going to tweak and modify those as you go forward. But still, at the end of the day, having a strong operating model for us in the SMB space, and I consider myself an SMB customer. Sure, we're a couple $1 million in revenue or more, but we're not billions of dollars. We're not even hundreds or tens of millions of dollars. And because of that, we have to make sure that that operating model is solidified before we start playing with our tools even. And so I tell SMBs all the time, make sure you're using the right tools with the right data, with the right operating models and activity, with the right people doing the work before you even begin.
You know, when you think about operating models, there are different pillars as you frame the concept, right? I mean, capability is one, how you engage with the rest of the organization in terms of enablement is another, governance is another one in terms of how do you keep everything working and compliant and whatnot. And so are there any specific pillar that will be crucial to AI for long-term success from an SMB perspective?
Oh, yes. So data is number one, in my opinion. If you've got clean data, and it's your data, it's nobody else's data. Let's start out with having clean, concise, compiled data that is my company's and my company only. 2, I'm very, very particular with, at least in what I see, I need to have security. I don't want any of my staff members taking my data and uploading it to ChatGPT or uploading it to some other web-based tool. Everything should stay in a black box. That is mine. Now, If I'm doing marketing or if I'm doing promotions or sales activities, that's a different ROI calculator and a different environment where I'm doing different components with. And that's why when I look at the pillars that you're using, what is your ROI you're trying to gather? Is it your technology stack? Is it your sales and marketing? Is it your HR? What is that stack? And then let's build those ROI models around it. Let's build the security. Let's build the data. So all those pillars align. It's kind of like if you remember back maybe 20 years ago, everything was pillared. You had your operating systems, you had your databases, you had your applications. Everything had its pillar, and you didn't get to mix between them. You had to have the keys to this castle. And you had to work with somebody in the database, and you had to work with somebody in the app. Well, now it's a little bit similar but different, where you've got all these pillars, but you've got to have them flowing together horizontally as well. You have to be able to use your data. So you have to have your data capability. Then you have to have what is the ROI capability that you're looking for, and that data is going to be used for it. Then you have to have your security pillar, and that one's going to have to flow between all of them. So at the end of the day, you've got so many different variables that you have to work with and you have to understand, but they do get to work together as long as you keep them in your black box for your data.
When we talk about alignment of technology strategy with business goals and aligning capability to that, to make it all work in a unified fashion so that it delivers ROI on a continuous basis, what are some of the biggest mistakes that you see businesses make when you try to strategically integrate AI into your ecosystem, especially if you have a legacy kind of environment?
Well, that's a great question, and it's a several part answer, to be honest. You get, especially in the SMB market, you typically have an owner, founder, CEO, all in one. And that individual starts reading papers, and it's reading all over the internet, and it's all over TV, AI. But yet they're not a technology style person. They're probably more in the sales side or the marketing. Every good owner has a yin to the yang to them. One is the technology side, one is the sales, marketing, and HR finance side. Depending upon, most of them are on that finance HR side. So they're seeing all this and they're thinking, I can save money, I can do this, I can do that. Well, they're not sure of the tools. They're not sure who's going to do it. They're not sure how they're going to get the data. They're not having the conversations with people. They don't even know who in their organization is excited to do this work. That's one of the things I tell customers all the time and prospects is find those individuals, those human diamonds in the rough who really want to learn this. And those are your bigger, better, faster, stronger humans that are going to take and make your AI successful for you and your company. And it's those individuals. That's why I love going and speaking. I do probably 40 to 50 different conversations at universities every year. I want to see the lights in the eyes of these young people. That's where you see the excitement. Those are the people you want to bring into your company because they're the ones that are going to be bigger, better, faster, and stronger. And they've already gone through and they've read your complete AI guide. They've read my Mastering AI guide. They've gone through and they're doing it on their own. And now they're going to do it for you as a customer or as an employee. Oh, that's where the real gold is mined, since gold is at a record high right now.
That's right. Should have invested in some gold. And for large organizations, the complexity can be enormous. But for small organizations, it's typically, as you said before, an owner, a bunch of people, maybe about 20 people, 30 people, or 50 people. What are typically some of the complexity areas or issues that you've seen?
I've seen those even in my own company. What are some of the things that we can use AI to help our staff members and our customers be more of a benefit? First one we did within our organizational structure is we have an HR platform that we utilize. Is we went out and we put all of our all of our HR data into our AI model, and we built out the capability for our staff members to be able to go into the portal and to be able to see how much vacation time they have, when they can take their vacation time, register for their vacation time, validate that there's nobody else taking off at the same time as them, so we do have coverage and we don't lose coverage on our staff. And then that takes it away from them during the process of their entire 12 months in the organization. So that's one thing that we did, and we put that all out there. Two, it's a time tracking mechanism for our tool as well. We've got an in-house tool called Overwatch that we use. It does tracking and customer support. It does our ticketing for our staff members. All of that is an AI-based tool set that brings in the data that we need from our customer support repository, our library. So it's not only got SAP information in it from the general perspective, but it also has our customers in it, so we can share how we fixed an issue, not data of the organizations. So those are just two examples of what customers and organizations can do. Start with an internal, maybe something of an HR process or an automated finance process. Credit cards, we give our salespeople and our consultants, when they go out to customer sites, they get corporate credit cards. All that data comes back into it. It goes into our repository, and it validates all the credit card purchases against the bank accounts. And then our finance team validates everything that should either go to their check or to the credit card payment system. And it validates all that instead of having humans do it. There's only one set of eyes on that rather than multiple. And then again, my customer support organization, AI-based. Everything, we want them to send in emails. We want them to do text messages. We want them to send in documentation. We don't want them to have to pick up a phone and have to talk to one of our human beings. Let's start the process from an AI-based email, text, or portal process before you pick up a phone.
So I'm just also conscious that your expertise is also on the SAP side of things. And so in your book, the best-selling book series that you have, Mastering SAP, you focus on practical steps for migrating, optimizing, and scaling technology. What are some of the key differences in strategy between optimizing existing core systems and scaling, especially when it comes to newer technologies? SAP would typically now fall into the legacy category for having been around for decades now, and then there is a new technology domain that's coming up like AI. Right. How do you marry the differences and discrepancies there?
Oh, that's a great question, because SAP is, in my opinion as well, I consider it to be a legacy ERP solution. You look at new tools like the Workdays, the Salesforce.coms, the ServiceNows, all these tools are web-based. And the fact that you need to marry them up with legacy, SAP still owns 93.7% of all transactions on this planet, financial-wise, go through an SAP environment. So you have to marry up AI with the legacy. You got to do the cloud-based environments with the AI components. Now, the nice thing with both segments is AI is a tool set that you can utilize either in a cloud or not in a cloud. If you're going to use your data, you can still leverage your data in that black box and nowhere else. But the great thing with it is it gives you the flexibility. If you've got multiple environments, multiple applications, multiple databases, it gives you the flexibility to bring in the data that you want to bring in and utilize that in the manner that you need to and shall be successful to have. So it's really a complete package. That's why AI is so beautiful. It's funny because I literally have on this screen over here, I have two different AI solutions that I've got up here that I've been playing with, just say alone. One of them just happens to be Notebook LM, and the other one is my Chat Hub. Then on this side, I have got Snowflake, I got Perplexity, and I've got my Gemini up here. And I'm doing some stuff back and forth. And as an SMB, all this data is coming from my environments, all my databases. Some of them are cloud-based, some of them are in Azure, and some are in AWS. And then this one's got some that's got in GCP. And it's flexible enough to do it. It gives me a complete picture, no matter how I'm leveraging it. And I don't have to go through a lot of prompting exercises for that because I'm an SLM guy, small language model guy. I've got some small prompts that I go through that I can get granular on my HR, my finance, or my SAP data. And it's not necessarily SAP because my end-to-end my supports are ServiceNow. I've got Salesforce.com. I've got QuickBooks. I've got Quickens. I've got SAP. So it really gives me some flexibility on those as well.
Awesome. And you also noted that you're passionate about unlocking real world AI impact. That example you quoted is that you're a user of multiple AI tools, and in the context of running a small business, you have as an executive, as a CEO of the company, you have certain specific workflows and tasks that you need to do that is quite different from someone else who's probably in the middle management. And I'm just wondering, when you think about unlocking these real world AI impact and the tools that you used, do you also do pilots before you institutionalize it? And if so, what is this hoo-ha about the promise of AI versus the real value that there seems to be a massive gap, especially for large organizations? I can understand that to be significant because you have silos and entrenched pockets of resistance and so on and so forth. What is your experience about scaling pilots from an SMB perspective?
Yes, that's a great question because we do pilots all the time. We are continuously building out a pilot to test. I ask anybody and everybody in my company, these are our tools. If you find another tool that you would like to use, I need to know a pilot about it, and I get involved. I'm a technical guy in nature. That's what I went to Georgia Tech for. So I love to learn and know what others, and I'm only one human being. I've got enough people in my company that they've got different ideas and they get different thoughts and they're going in different directions. They're working with different customers and they're different partners and they want to know and see what's going on. So they bring these ideas to the table, and I tell them all the time, go for it. Here's the standard tools. If you need a different tool, though, we need to talk about it. We need to discuss what the financials and what the pilot's going to be about. But I go through on a daily basis. Every morning at 7 a.m. when I start working, I literally go through if anybody's asked or requested from a pilot from the night before, if anybody's done anything or if anybody's ready to present, we sit down and we actually do a presentation. They'll bring me in all the time. I'm usually either the first or the second one they bring in because, again, as a technical person, I can go through that. But pilots are so important. They're inexpensive. They're fast. My goal, fail fast, use that knowledge, and try again. So I continuously ask my team to do that, and they do. I would say 90+% of the work that we've got is not from me. I came up with some ideas about the customer support, some HR, some finance, some other activities, but most of this comes from our employees, how it helps do their jobs. Remember how I've made this reference now twice. I'm going to do it a third time. Bigger, better, faster, stronger human beings create better AI tasks and initiatives within your company. So if you're letting them leverage what they want to know, how they know it, what they're using, what tools they're using, and help them utilize those AI tools, man, the sky's the limit for that. And that's why I love SMBs. As an SMB, fail fast, learn, and do another one. It's literally like drinking a glass of water. You drink one glass, you fill it up, you do it again. You drink one glass, you fill up, you do it again. Or whiskey, whatever you prefer. But
do you see that a lot with your customers as well? A similar behavior pattern that is scalable from our
customers, yes, because we get them to do it. Most of when we first start with a customer, they're probably on one pilot. We're like, okay, well, what did you learn from that pilot? Was it successful or was it a failure? I don't know. I may have learned this. Okay, well, you're going to leverage it. Are you going to use it forward? No, probably not. Okay, great. You learned something about it. Let's take that data. Now let's do another one. Let's get it going. And we go out and we hunt their staff. I hunt for those people. I will put out detailed memos for people within my customer organizations. Who's interested in AI? Who wants to be a part of this? Who's got the time? Who's got the ability? What knowledge do you? and I will go out there and have fun. I follow people on their LinkedIn's, I follow people on their Instagrams, and I go out there. And if you're one of my customers, I'm following your technical people, because my team will find you like, hey, you posted this article, or you liked this article on this. Are you really interested in it, or are you just liking it to like it? And we'll start asking questions. We'll almost be interviewing them. That's the fun thing. We'll almost be interviewing, because we want them. And then we want that company to fail fast. Get more pilots out there. Keep trying. Keep growing. And it's amazing how all of a sudden it's just like that switch. Boom, there it is. And you just see repetitive pilots going, and fail fast and move forward.
Fantastic. Yeah. So Chris, how do you help companies that have the problem of data sharing, especially when it's going to public domain, like when you're using a ChatGPT or a Google Gemini tool? How do you ring fence a small business's data and protect it so that it doesn't go into the ether, as it were? That's
a great question, George, because that's part of the problem of what these organizations have. Everybody thinks, oh, I'll just send it up to ChatGPT. It'll give me all these answers back. I put out my financial information. Well, once your information is uploaded into their system, it's now their information, and any of your competitors can have it. So what you need to do is you need to lock down that data. You need to make sure that none of your staff, and this is why we built Cloakworks as well. So Cloakworks allows for you to have all of your security and all of your data in one repository, and it doesn't allow some rogue individual in your company to start sharing up and down. So the biggest thing that does is it keeps your data yours. Because if I go out there and I do a search inside of ChatGPT for give me the financial data of such and such company on this and such this activity, there's times where people have actually garnered the information on their competitors just by ChatGPT, because they know that they're sharing that data in a public format rather than a private format. So as an SMB, keep your data locked down, keep it secure, and use your internal process, your internal servers and activities to gather your information and to leverage that. Unless you're doing a sales process or some type of marketing, that's a different animal. That's using the gammas and the different tools out there. But keep your data in-house, otherwise you're going to lose the ability for you to make rational decisions on your data only.
So how do you do that? Is that on-prem servers?
Yeah. Your own Azure servers. It doesn't have to be an on-prem. You build your own Azure servers with your own Azure databases, and make sure that you've cleaned your data. Then make sure it's in that system only. Do not ship it anywhere else. Do not give it to anybody. Do not upload it anywhere. But use the tools. Like I use my tools here. They're cloud-based. The only connection is to my databases in my systems. That's it. I don't drop any information from anywhere else into it. It's pretty simple.
Excellent. So thanks for your time, Chris, today. What's the best way for our audience to reach out to you?
Yeah, I highly recommend going to my LinkedIn page. I know George is going to have it at the down below and stuff, but go out to my LinkedIn page. Just let me know that you saw the podcast and that you wanted to connect. I don't connect with people that don't have headshots or information, but I go out and if somebody says, I saw you on a podcast and I really like to have a conversation back and forth, I always say yes. I've never said no. I want to have conversations. I love having conversations, and I love sharing technical capabilities. Nobody has to hire me. Just let's talk. And if we get to meet each other, I like coffee and good whiskey.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. So that's it for this episode of the Complete AI Guide podcast. Thank you for joining us today, and we hope that you can join us for the next episode. Until then, don't forget to like, follow, share, and subscribe. Also, check out our upcoming masterclass at www.georgeebbiematthew.com/masterclass. Until then, it's goodbye from me, George Mathew here. Thank you again.